Hello, my name is Derek from Tomcat Gas Training, and I train new entrants and existing engineers in the gas industry. Other parts I play is to make YouTube videos, and these YouTube videos are designed to help new entrants into our industry with their training. Now, one of the problems with these YouTube videos is basically every Tom, Dick and Harry around the world can watch my videos, and they can use this information to help them with their DIY projects. Now, I'm not alone in making these YouTube videos. There are some great engineers out there in YouTube land who are passing on their extensive knowledge on things like how to repair boilers, how to install boilers, or any other gas appliances out there. Now, the videos I make are very informative and detailed, and they are designed for these trainee engineers to help them with their training. I don't make them so every Joe Blogs out there can use them to repair their boilers or any other gas appliance I look at. Now, there are loads of videos on YouTube about things such as doing a boob job or flying an aeroplane, and I really wouldn't want to do any of those. Or maybe a boob job. Anyway, so what I'm trying to get at is, at the moment around the world, it's incredibly strange times with the virus, and people are turning to YouTube to help them do their little DIY jobs at home because it's hard to get hold of tradesmen to come out and do their repairs or install new equipment. But that doesn't mean you DIY enthusiasts can go ahead there and start playing with gas and start playing with your gas appliances. In the UK, you have to be gas safe registered to be able to install or work or repair gas appliances. Now, there are some exceptions, such as electricians are allowed to wire boilers up, and the external controls, they're allowed to wire them as well. But actually installing the gas appliance, you have to be gas safe registered to do that. Now, let me just show you a few little video clips and photographs, and we'll discuss them when you've watched them. Now, the short video clips and photographs you've just seen are of gas explosions what have happened recently in the UK. Now, there are a few things you can do as a DIY enthusiast to help yourself while we've got this pandemic, so you don't have to call out an engineer. Is, first of all, check whether your boiler has water in it. That's a common fault with boilers, especially if you don't have them serviced. They lose pressure and they need topping up, and you can use the filling lube underneath the boiler to top it up. You can read the manufacturer's instructions to help that. Also, if there's a fault code on there, you can have a look at the fault code, and it might just be a matter of resetting the boiler. So as long as you don't take the cover off the boiler, there are a few things you can do as a DIY enthusiast to help you while we've got the pandemic. Other things you could do as a DIY enthusiast is, if your radiator is cold at the top and warm at the bottom, it might just need bleeding. So you can bleed the radiator by the bleed screw at the end of the radiator. But if you've got a sealed system, remember to top up your boiler, otherwise it's not going to work. So there are some things you can do as a DIY enthusiast while we've got the pandemic, and you don't have to call out an engineer but you could speak to one over the phone who could also help you out at this time. Now, I keep going on about gas safe registration. So what is gas safe registration? Today, over 120,000 engineers in the UK are certified to work on gas. So that means they are gas safe registered. The Gas Safe Register has a main purpose, and that is to make sure that gas appliances in the UK are installed, serviced and maintained to the correct standards. The Gas Safe Register replaced Corgi as the main governing body of the gas industry for England and the Isle of Man on the 1st of April 2009 and Northern Ireland and Guernsey on the 1st of April 2010. For the general public, when you ask a gas engineer to come into your home, first of all, you do need to check and make sure that they are gas safe registered. Now, there are a couple of ways of doing that. First of all, you can go onto the Gas Safe website and you can check up and see if the engineer is gas safe registered, or every gas safe engineer has to carry a gas safe card. Now, this is one of my old cards, so it doesn't matter about the number. This is actually from 2015. But it's not just the front of the card you need to look at, it's the back of the card also, because on the back of the card it tells the customer what the engineer is actually qualified to work on. Now, at the moment in the UK, engineers can work on all gas appliances, or they can do qualifications to work on just individual appliances, such as boilers, cookers or fires. So you need to check on the back of the card to make sure the engineer you've invited into your home is actually qualified to do the work you want him to undertake. So there are other things to consider other than gas explosions when the general public are installing their own boilers and doing their own DIY gas work. So let's have a look at those and find out what other problems you can actually cause installing your own gas appliances and not knowing what you're doing. Now, in the Paris Agreement of 2016, everybody agreed to get the global temperature down by 2 degrees. Now, the way we're going to have to do this is by reducing our carbon footprint, which we all seem to know about. Now, Great Britain wants to get zero carbon emissions by 2050 and be net zero by 2030. What we mean by net zero is having 100% of our carbon emissions less than we had in 1990. Since 2012, we've managed to reduce our carbon emissions in the UK by about 75%. But 17% of our carbon emissions in the home is used for heating, and about 4% of our carbon footprint is all about heating hot water. Now, if you're fitting your own boiler and you're not gas safe registered, you're probably not going to know about the controls, what are needed to help save the planet and get these carbon emissions down. Now, all boilers now have to have controls which are Boiler Plus. So if you're nothing to do with the gas industry, you've probably no clue about Boiler Plus and about what controls are needed to control the heat and the hot water, so we're not wasting energy and we're not putting CO2 into the atmosphere and damaging our planet. Now, these new regulations have been around since 2018 that all boilers installed in the UK have to be more than 92% efficient without the controls, and then over 96% efficient with the controls. Now, homeowners in the UK knowingly allowing old boilers, so second-hand boilers and boilers without controls installed now, so this is after 2018, are liable for prosecution and fines up to £5,000. So that guy down the pub doing it, who's not fitting your controls, it's going to get you into serious trouble. Now, we actually use gas in the UK as well for making electricity. About 26% of our electricity here in the UK is made by using gas. So gas is still playing a major part in the UK at the moment, and probably will continue to do so for quite a few years. So the UK produces at the moment about half the amount of gas we require. Well, it's about 44%. And we're getting this still from the North Sea and the Irish Sea. We also import about 47% of our remaining gas needs from Europe via the pipelines, and we also bring in about 9% via the sea, which is brought in tankers. Now, everything on this planet freezes, if you didn't know, at temperatures lower than minus 365 degrees. But gas is a funny thing. At minus 365 degrees it turns to a liquid. So that's how they managed to get it across from Russia, basically, on ships. Now, in the early to mid 1960s, that's where we found natural gas out in the North Sea. And this natural gas presented a cleaner and more efficient gas than what we were using, which was Towns gas. Now, Towns gas was mainly coal gas, and that's how natural gas is made, basically. So if you didn't know, just to bore you a little bit more, the way gas is formed on the planet is it's animal matter and peat, which then gets crushed, which then turns to coal, and then the coal gives off natural gas. Now, the whole of the UK converted to natural gas in the mid to late 70s, and I started my gas career in the very early 80s, following my father's footsteps. And I'm very proud to say that my son and my daughter have both followed me into the gas industry. In the UK, mains gas is supplied to over 21 million homes and is the most popular fuel for heating and cooking. 86% of homes in the UK use gas for heating hot water too. Now, natural gas is mainly methane, CH4, but it also has some elements in there such as ethane and propane. It also has small quantities of nitrogen and carbon dioxide, along with small traces of hydrogen sulfide and water. Humans first started to harness the use of natural gas way back 3,000 years ago. Around 1000 BC, it was said that goat herders discovered burning natural gas seeping out of the slopes of Mount Parnassus in Greece. Now, the byproducts of burning natural gas is carbon dioxide and water vapour. Pretty much the same as what we do. We breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide and water vapour. Now, if we have incomplete combustion, so we're not burning the gas correctly, we get another byproduct, which instead of being carbon dioxide is carbon monoxide. Now, carbon monoxide is incredibly poisonous, and it has no smell, it has no taste, and you also can't see it. Now, if you haven't got the ability or the equipment to check whether this natural gas is burning correctly, by the use of one of these. This is a flue gas analyzer. These are incredibly expensive to buy, and you have to have them calibrated every year. So these are a big expense to gas engineers. Then you're going to be putting yourselves in more danger. So carbon monoxide, these things can tell us whether the appliance is burning correctly and whether we are getting carbon monoxide. So let's have a look at carbon monoxide a bit more closer. There are around 60 deaths in England and Wales for the accidental poisoning of carbon monoxide. So, if the flame is not bright blue and the appliance is not burning the fuel away completely, and it may produce this potential lethal carbon monoxide, which is commonly known as its chemical formula of CO. We can't see it or smell this CO, as I've said, but breathing it in can lead to permanent brain damage or even death. Black stains around a gas appliance could also indicate a carbon monoxide leak. And excessive condensation on windows is also another indication that you could have an appliance spilling its products of combustion. Damaged, rusty, discoloured or corroded pipework should also need to be inspected by gas safe registered engineers as soon as possible. A copper pipe will go green if it is corroding. Now let me just give you a few stats. 1 in 9 gas boilers inspected by Gas Safe are found to be unsafe. 61% of households in the UK last year didn't have their boiler serviced. What's that all about? Illegal gas engineers carried out 250,000 jobs last year. That's 250,000 gas jobs carried out in the UK last year were unregistered gas engineers, and that's not taking into account of the DIYer. So always make sure you check the Gas Safe registered engineers card. 1 in 5 homes in the UK, that's 17%, suffered a boiler breakdown last year, but most of that was due to lack of servicing. 41% of people in the UK don't know what to do if their home has got CO in it or they're suffering from CO poisoning. Almost 27 million homes in the UK don't have carbon monoxide alarms to protect themselves from CO poisoning. In Scotland, it's law that every gas appliance has a carbon monoxide alarm, but in England and Wales, it's only law to have a carbon monoxide alarm if you've got a solid fuel appliance in your house. So hopefully that's going to change soon. One of the worrying things is dozens of carbon monoxide alarms every year sold on eBay and Amazon have been withdrawn due to them being unsafe. CO alarms must be approved to EN 50291 and must also have a British Standard kite mark on them. These CO alarms must also be checked every year to make sure 1, they're in date, and 2, they're still working. Between 50 and 60 deaths a year occur in the UK due to carbon monoxide poisoning. 4,000 people go to A&E with suspected carbon monoxide poisoning, and 200 people a year are hospitalised due to carbon monoxide. Now, gas fires are the biggest problem in the UK. For appliances, Gas Safe say 1 in 2 gas fires they inspect are dangerous. But fires aren't the biggest killer in the UK. Fires account for about 8% of deaths in the UK from carbon monoxide poisoning, but gas boilers do a massive 26% of deaths due to carbon monoxide poisoning. Tenants be aware also. When Gas Safe did a survey, 1 in 3 landlords didn't know their responsibilities for having their gas appliances checked. Most landlords think their gas appliances only require a landlord report, but every gas appliance requires to be serviced every 12 months. Our gas emergency service, which is Cadent at the moment, answer about 1.6 million calls a year. That equates to over 1 call every 20 seconds across the UK. You can contact Cadent, our emergency service, on 0800 111 999 if you think you have a gas leak or you suspect you have an appliance giving off carbon monoxide poisoning. You can find Cadent's number on the front of every gas meter, because there'll be a sticker like this which tells you what to do in the event of a gas escape. So the stats are showing quite a few naughty things, like 1 in 9 boilers found by Gas Safe to be unsafe. So what does that mean? Customers not having the boilers serviced? Gets worse, 1 in 2 fires is found to be unsafe. Again, people not having their appliances serviced. If you don't get your appliances serviced and they're within warranty, guys, they ain't getting fixed by the manufacturer. Another shocking one, 250,000, 250,000 gas jobs done a year from unqualified gas engineers. Again, customers not wanting to pay for a gas engineer to come out and do the job. Joe Bloggs from the pub, he knows what he's doing, get him to come and sort it out. No. If you guys realised how much it costs a gas engineer per year to actually work, you'd be shocked. A gas engineer has to earn in the Manchester area around about £120 a day just to cover their costs. That's before they've even gone out the door. So next time you want any jobs doing, don't have a go yourself. Don't get Joe Bloggs from the pub to do it. Get a gas engineer to do it. 1, you know you'll get a quality job. 2, you'll know if anything goes wrong, he'll come back. And 3, if anything does go wrong, it ain't going to blow the house up. So, more results. Let's name and shame some areas, shall we? Birmingham. What are you doing, Birmingham? You are the most unsafe gas capital of Great Britain. You're way in front. Now, our capital, London, had the biggest number of gas appliances found to be faulty, but on percentage-wise, they didn't make the top 8. So according to GasSafe, more than a third of homes in Birmingham are under risk of explosion. Shocking figures. Cardiff, you're coming second, another shocking figure. And wait, just behind those is Edinburgh. But Brighton, you are the safest place for gas in the UK, so well done. In Brighton, they only found 20 homes with dangerous gas appliances. But still, that's 20 too many. So here's the figures then. Birmingham, 34.2% percentage of households with an unsafe appliance. Cardiff, 31.1%. Edinburgh, 30.9%. Ipswich and Norwich, 27.9%. Coventry, 27.8%. Good old Manchester, 27.5%. Bedford, 27.3%. And Glasgow, 25.2%. So they are the top 8 cities in the UK with dodgy gas appliances. So you can see from the figures I'm banding about that we're not in a good way in the UK where gas appliances are concerned, which is quite shocking really, especially being a trainer of gas engineers. Well, I know from personal experience with my customers when I was on the tools all the time, most people are desperate for you to come and do the boilers and get them installed, but they're not desperate for you to come and service them afterwards. Now, boiler manufacturers are giving massive warranties, 10, 11, 12-year warranties, but they're absolutely useless if you don't have your appliances serviced. Now, right at the very beginning of this video, we've shown you the clips of the explosions. Now, yes, we do have quite a few explosions in the UK, but one of the other major worries about not having your appliances checked and serviced is this carbon monoxide poisoning. So basically, what is carbon monoxide? So carbon monoxide is this deadly gas which gets into your bloodstream. So hemoglobin is a molecule in your red blood cells which carries oxygen from your lungs to around your body and to your organs and tissues. It then brings the carbon dioxide, the CO2, back to the lungs where it can be expelled by the body. Carbon monoxide binds more than 200 times better to this hemoglobin than oxygen does. So your body prefers, your red blood cells prefer carbon monoxide than oxygen. So if CO is present in your hemoglobin, then there's no way oxygen can join it because there's just no space for it. So as a result of this, the body will be starved of oxygen, and that part of the body starved by oxygen will die. There is about 21% oxygen, it's 20.9% oxygen in the atmosphere. So we don't have a lot of oxygen to play with at the beginning. So if we start filling it with carbon monoxide, then it's not going to take us very long to actually die. So let's have a look and see exactly how long it takes for this to affect us. So the symptoms for carbon monoxide are pretty much like the flu, except you don't have a high temperature. So pretty much like this virus, except the virus you do get or most people get a high temperature. So if you do suspect you've got carbon monoxide poisoning, you must seek medical attention as soon as possible. One of the first things you need to do is turn off all your gas appliances, open the windows and doors and get outside and get some fresh air. Fresh air is oxygen, is the best cure for carbon monoxide poisoning. So the longer an individual is exposed to carbon monoxide, the more damage it's going to cause. You know, one of the things I've said is it's going to cause brain damage, or worse, it's going to cause death. If you do find one of your appliances is giving off carbon monoxide, then you must ring the gas emergency service on 0800 111 999, or get a gas engineer who has the relevant qualifications to come out and test to see whether you do have an appliance giving off carbon monoxide. But if you have your appliances serviced every year and checked, then there's every chance a gas engineer will be able to stop this happening. So let's have a look at this presence of CO in the blood in percentage. So if you've got less than 10% of CO in your blood, there is no symptoms. Most smokers in the UK have around about 10% CO in their blood. If you got between 10 and 20, you get a slight headache. Between 21 and 30, headache, slight increase in respiration and drowsiness. 31 to 40, you've got a headache, impaired judgment, shortness of breath, increased drowsiness, blurring of vision. 41 to 50, you've got a pounding headache, confusion, marked shortness of breath, marked drowsiness, increased blurred vision. And if you've got over 51%, you've got unconsciousness, eventual death if the victim is not removed from this source of CO. Now, when GasSafe carried out a survey, they found 49% didn't know that breathlessness is a symptom of CO poisoning. Also, they found out that 38% didn't know that nausea was a symptom, and 32% didn't know that headaches are a symptom. So they were the shocking results found at a recent GasSafe survey. So what have we learned so far about this trying to do DIY gas jobs and getting so-called gas engineers who aren't qualified to do the work? So we found out that 1, we could do an explosion. 2, we're going to mess up the planet because we're not going to be efficient enough. And 3, we could be killing somebody from carbon monoxide poisoning. So there's quite a bit to be thinking about there if you are thinking about doing a DIY gas job. Also, I think if your insurance company found out you'd done some dodgy work and caused a problem, I don't think they'd be paying out. The other thing as well, which we find quite regular, is if we suspect it's been installed by a non-registered engineer, there'll be no accompanying paperwork. And according to our gas regulations, that makes an appliance, an uncommissioned appliance, at risk of becoming immediately dangerous. So we would be isolating that appliance and rechecking it. Now, just to finish off, GasSafe every month they produce a magazine. And in this magazine, they produce a section called The Good, The Bad and The Ugly. Okay, this is all, well, there's actually 3 pages in this magazine of the good, the bad and the ugly. And this is what engineers are finding while we're out there every day doing our jobs. So let's finish off by showing you a few of these photographs and showing you how bad some of the work is out there. Now, this boiler install is the kind of thing we're coming across now on a regular basis. It looks like it's an okay installation until you get to the pipework underneath the boiler, where you start to get to see 1, compression fittings, and 2, flexible hoses. Now, there is no gas engineer out there, I hope, in the UK who is ever going to install a boiler with flexible hoses. Now, it might be allowed in Europe, but in the UK it's frowned upon. So this would definitely be sending alarm bells to any engineer in the UK that it's been installed by a non-registered gas engineer. And here's a few more amazing installs. So this is another situation we're seeing now quite regular. So what we've got here is an oven and a hob installed in a kitchen. Now, first of all, the valve on the left hand side is not a gas valve, that's a water fitting. So that would be classed as immediately dangerous in our gas industry. Now, the other thing is the next thing along, which is a cooker bayonet. And the cooker bayonet is not looking down and looking to its side. And every gas engineer is trained in the UK to know that all cooker hoses have to be looking down. Also, not every hob can be installed with a cooker hose. it has to go off the manufacturer instructions. So again, this photograph sends alarm bells that a non-registered engineer has installed this. Now what you can see here is a flue off a Worcester Bosch boiler. Now, first of all, it's a poor install because the flue's sticking out the wall too far. Really, we shouldn't have any white showing on the flue, and there are some manufacturers out there, mainly Baxi and Ideal, who will not allow any white showing on their flue. But this, I think, is, one, it's a poor install, but two, lack of servicing, because it takes quite a long time for a flue to rust through like this one has. So maybe if the customer had had it serviced regular, then they wouldn't be needing a new flue system. So again, alarm bells are ringing that one, it could have been installed by a non-registered engineer because it's not in a great location, and two, it's not been serviced. So if they're not having it serviced, then they've probably not had an engineer to fit it. And now we're back to cooking appliances. I shown you this picture earlier on in the film of this hob being installed. Now first of all, the pipe's green. That's not a good sign. That would be categorized as at risk in our unsafe situations. There is a gas isolation valve, and we can tell that by the colour of the handle. And then there is a water fitting connecting the gas supply to the hob. And again, I would like to think there are no gas engineers out there in the UK who would actually ever think about using a flexible tap connector to feed gas to a hob. If there are, I'm giving up, because this is a massive telltale sign of a DIYer replacing a hob. And this would be classed as immediately dangerous and RIDDOR reportable to the Health and Safety Executive. There seems to be a little bit of a trend. Now this little video is a bit more concerning. Now this is what me and my son found in a rented property when we removed the boxing in. Now a flue pipe cannot be boxed in now. You have to be able to physically see the full length of the flue and any joints in there. So once we'd removed the boxing in, this is what we found. So basically this flue is held up on bricks. Now, the flue was screwed together though, which is a bit frightening. That they did actually screw it, which you would think if they were non-registered engineers, they had screwed the flue. Now we ended up removing this flue system. In fact, we ended up installing a new boiler as well as a new flue system, and obviously installed it to the manufacturer's instructions. But this was one which was a bit iffy, whether it was an unregistered gas engineer or just a lazy gas engineer. And let's finish off with a few more amazing flue installs. And that's the end of this video. Now I could go on showing you pictures and videos all day, but it won't make any difference. Now hopefully what you take away from this video is, 1, don't try and do any gas work if you're not gas safe registered. 2, if you do gas work, you are putting your life and your family's lives at risk. You're also putting the planet at risk, and you're also putting your neighbours at risk as well. So if you think a gas engineer's too dear and Joe Bloggs down the pub does just as good a job, you're also running the gauntlet that he doesn't have a clue what he's doing. Also, if somebody suggests a gas engineer to you, still check their card. Make sure they are gas safe registered, and don't forget the back, because that's the important bit. That tells you whether they are qualified to work on your appliance. So, if you've liked this video, why don't you give me a thumbs up or leave a constructive comment down below. If you've not subscribed to my channel, then please subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell because I normally release videos every Wednesday. All I've got left to say is, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and stay safe guys, whether that's because of this virus or because of dodgy gas work. Cheers.